My pregnant girlfriend is absolutely obsessed with specific baby names and will not consider any alternatives. If it is a boy, the baby will be named Trevor, she said. But then I found her liking every post from her college ex, while telling him maybe the baby is yours. I never thought I would be writing this kind of post. But I need some outside perspective because I feel like I am losing my mind over something that should be straightforward. I am Marcus, 28, software engineer. My girlfriend Brittany and I have been together for 2 years, and she is currently 6 months pregnant with our first child. We are both excited about becoming parents, but we have hit a major roadblock that is making me question things about our relationship. The issue started 3 weeks ago when we began seriously discussing baby names. I was expecting this to be one of those fun couple activities where we would browse name books together and find something we both loved. Instead, it has become a source of tension that reveals sides of Brittany I have never seen before. From our very first conversation about names, Brittany had one non-negotiable position. If it is a boy, the baby will be named Trevor. If it is a girl, it will be Tessa. She presented these choices with the kind of finality people usually reserve for announcing facts, not discussing preferences. Those are just perfect names, she said when I asked why she felt so strongly about them. They are unique and strong, and I have always dreamed of having children with those names. The word dreamed struck me as odd. People usually say they like certain names or think they sound nice, but dreams suggested a deeper emotional attachment that I couldn't understand. Something about her intensity around these specific names feels connected to something I am not seeing, but I cannot put my finger on what. When I persisted with alternative suggestions, Brittany became increasingly emotional. She started crying and accused me of not caring about her feelings during this vulnerable time. She blamed pregnancy hormones for making her sensitive, but insisted that her name choices were final. "Why are you being so difficult about this?" she sobbed. "I thought you trusted my judgment." That is when I started paying closer attention to details I had been unconsciously noting, but not fully processing. Brittany has been following a boy on all social media platforms. She likes his posts within minutes of him posting them. When I scroll through her Instagram, I can see she has liked literally every photo he has shared for the past 2 years we have been dating. And coincidentally, that boy's name was Trevor. I mentioned this observation to my best friend Jake during our weekly basketball game, and his reaction was immediate and alarmed. "Dude, that is not normal," Jake said, stopping mid-dribble. "You need to dig deeper into this situation." Jake's concern made me realize I wasn't overreacting to something minor. This was a legitimate red flag that deserved investigation, not dismissal. The breakthrough came during a family dinner at Brittany's parents' house. I had mentioned to her mother, Linda, that we were discussing baby names. And when she asked about our choices, I told her about Trevor and Tessa. Linda's reaction was immediate and telling. Her face went pale, and she set down her fork with a sharp clink against the plate. "Trevor," she repeated slowly, glancing nervously toward the kitchen where Brittany was helping her father with dessert. "Marcus, honey, you know that is the name of her college boyfriend, right? The one she was so heartbroken over when they broke up." My stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" "Oh dear," Linda whispered, looking genuinely distressed. "She never told you about Trevor. They dated for 4 years in college. She was devastated when he moved across the country after graduation. She spent months crying over him, talking about how they were meant to be together, but the timing was wrong." The room felt like it was spinning. Trevor wasn't just a name Brittany liked. It was the name of her college ex, the one she had been vague about whenever he came up in conversation. "Are you sure his name was Trevor?" I asked quietly. "Oh yes, definitely Trevor Knox. She still has photos of them together in her old bedroom. I always wondered why she never really talked about him with you. I assumed she was trying to put the past behind her." But Linda trailed off, looking worried. "I know Brittany had a serious boyfriend in college. She has mentioned him in passing a few times when telling stories about that period of her life, but she has never shared details about him or even mentioned his name. She always refers to him as my ex, or this guy I dated, and changes the subject quickly whenever he comes up. Now I realize that Trevor was that boy's name, And he was probably the same guy my girlfriend had been following on social media all along. Linda's revelation suggested that Brittany had talked about Trevor much more openly with her family than she ever had with me, and that their relationship had been far more serious and emotionally significant than she would ever let on. That night, I still couldn't believe she was planning to name our baby after her ex-boyfriend, so I approached Brittany with what I thought was a simple question. Where did the names Trevor and Tessa come from? Do they have special meaning for you? Her reaction was immediate and disproportionate. Her face went pale, then flushed red, and she started stammering. They are just, I told you, they are beautiful names. Why does it matter where they came from? I am just curious about why you feel so strongly about them specifically. You are interrogating me, she snapped. I am 6 months pregnant, Marcus. I shouldn't have to justify every feeling I have to you. She stormed out of the room before I could respond, leaving me sitting there with more questions than answers. Her reaction confirmed that these names meant something significant to her, something she wasn't willing to share with me. The next few days were tense. Brittany acted like nothing had happened when we discussed practical matters, but anytime baby names came up, she would shut down or change the subject. The few times I tried to suggest alternatives, she would start crying about how unsupported she felt. I found myself walking on eggshells, which was a new dynamic in our relationship. Brittany had always been emotional, but she had never been secretive or defensive in ways that made me feel like I was missing crucial information. I felt like I had been living in a completely different reality than the one I thought I understood. Brittany wasn't just obsessed with random names, she was trying to name our child after her ex-boyfriend, and she had been deliberately hiding this connection from me for weeks. How would you handle discovering something like this? Am I overreacting? Or is this as concerning as it feels to me? Update 1. After learning that Trevor was Brittany's college ex-boyfriend, I confronted her Sunday evening while she was cooking dinner. Brittany, I need you to be honest with me, I said. Is Trevor the name of your college boyfriend? She dropped her wooden spoon, face going white. For 10 seconds, she just stared at me. Who told you that? She finally whispered. Her first instinct wasn't to explain, but to find out who had exposed her secret. It doesn't matter who told me. What matters is whether it is true. It is complicated, she said, turning back to the stove. It is a simple question. Is Trevor your ex-boyfriend's name? Yes, but that is not. If it has nothing to do with him, why didn't you tell me this when I asked about the name's origin? She turned around with tears forming. Because I knew you would react exactly like this. You are making it about him instead of our baby, Brittany. You are trying to name our child after your ex-boyfriend. Trevor is just a name. It doesn't belong to him. When I asked how she would feel if I wanted to name our baby after one of my exes, she said that is completely different, but couldn't explain why. After she went to bed, something about her panicked reaction bothered me. I decided to look through her social media more carefully. What I found was devastating. Brittany doesn't just follow Trevor on Instagram. She likes every single post he makes, usually within minutes. Breakfast photos, gym selfies, work updates. Her name appears in the likes on months of his content. She also engages with his entire family and friend circle, commenting things like "miss these gatherings" on his mom's posts and "so proud of you" on his achievements. These aren't the interactions of someone who has moved on. Worse, her close friends' stories included reposts of his content, photos of places they used to visit with captions, like "missing this spot," and recent pictures of her wearing his college fraternity sweatshirt. She has been living a double life, committed to me publicly while maintaining an emotional connection to Trevor. When I confronted her with screenshots the next morning, she accused me of being a controlling stalker. You went through my social media like some kind of stalker. That is toxic behavior, Marcus. Brittany, you are commenting, "miss you" on your ex's family photos, while 6 months pregnant with my child. How is discovering this the problem? Those are just friendly comments. You are being insecure and reading too much into everything. She was gaslighting me so smoothly, I almost apologized before catching myself. If these interactions are innocent, why didn't you tell me you were still in contact with Trevor and his family? Because I knew you would overreact, just like you are doing now. The conversation ended with Brittany storming out, saying she needed space from my accusations and paranoia. She has been staying at her sister's for 2 days, only texting about how disappointed she is in my jealous behavior. I am starting to realize that this situation goes much deeper than just baby names. It appears that Brittany has never really ended her emotional relationship with Trevor, and now she wants to name our child after him as some kind of tribute or connection to that unresolved relationship. I don't know where to go from here. We are supposed to be building a family together, but I feel like I am competing with a ghost from her past. A ghost she is actively keeping alive through social media and now wants to honor by naming our baby after him. Edit. Several people have asked if I think there has been recent contact between them beyond social media. I am honestly afraid to dig deeper at this point, but the level of emotional investment she is showing suggests this goes beyond just liking photos. Update 2: Brittany has been staying at her sister Emma's place for a week now, and I have been using the time to process what I discovered about her social media behavior. The constant likes, comments, and emotional investment in Trevor's life painted a picture of someone who never moved on from a college relationship. But I suspected there was more to the story. My suspicions were confirmed when Brittany came back to the apartment yesterday to pick up more clothes. She left her laptop open on the kitchen counter while she packed. The message preview showed Trevor's name and the words I saw Marcus knows about. I made a decision that some people will judge me for, but I felt like I needed to understand the full scope of what I was dealing with before our baby arrived. I looked at their message history. What I found destroyed any remaining hope I had for our relationship. Brittany and Trevor have been messaging regularly for months, and the conversations go far beyond friendly check-ins between exes. She has been telling him detailed stories about our relationship problems, sharing intimate information about our pregnancy, and most disturbing of all, creating doubt about the baby's paternity. Here are some of the actual messages I found. I keep thinking about what we had together from Brittany 2 months ago. The baby is due in March. Crazy to think about timing, right? Remember when we were talking about maybe trying again last spring? From Brittany last month. I have been having dreams about you. The baby in my dreams looks just like you did as a kid. What do you think that means? From Brittany 2 weeks ago. I am going to name the baby Trevor. Marcus doesn't know about our history, so he will not understand the significance, but you will know. Trevor's responses showed increasing discomfort with these conversations. Brittany, I am married now. These conversations aren't appropriate. You need to focus on Marcus and your baby. I cannot be part of whatever you are going through. I am going to stop responding to these messages. My wife deserves better than this. Please don't name your baby after me. That is not healthy for anyone involved. But the most devastating discovery was a message thread from just 3 days ago. After our confrontation about the name, from Brittany, Marcus found out about the name connection. He is being so controlling and jealous. I think I made a mistake getting serious with him. From Brittany, I keep thinking the baby might actually be yours. The timing lines up with when we were talking about getting back together. This message contained a complete fabrication. Trevor and I had never met. He lives across the country, and Brittany and I have been together exclusively for 2 years, but she was creating false uncertainty about paternity to manipulate both Trevor and potentially me. Trevor's final response was, "Brittany, I am blocking you on all platforms. This needs to stop. The baby is Marcus's, you know that. And these messages are harassment. If you contact me again, I will have to involve my wife and potentially legal counsel." After reading this exchange, I understood the full scope of what I had been dealing with. Brittany wasn't just nostalgic about an old relationship. She was actively trying to sabotage our family to pursue a fantasy with a man who wanted nothing to do with her. When Brittany came out of the bedroom with her bag, I was sitting at the kitchen counter with her laptop still open. "You read them," she said immediately, seeing my expression. "All of them." She sat down across from me, and for a moment, I thought she might finally be ready to have an honest conversation. Instead, she tried to minimize and justify her behavior. "Those messages don't mean what you think they mean. I was just confused and scared about the pregnancy. Trevor was someone I could talk to about my fears." "Brittany, you told him you thought the baby might be his. You know that is impossible. I was just exploring possibilities. Pregnancy makes you think about genetics and heredity, and you were lying to manipulate him into staying engaged with you emotionally. And you were planning to name our son after him without telling me about your history. She started crying, but it felt performative rather than genuine. I love you, Marcus. I chose you. The baby is yours. I just got confused for a while. Confused about what? About whether I was ready to let go of my past completely. That admission told me everything I needed to know, even 6 months into pregnancy with my child. Brittany wasn't ready to commit fully to our relationship. She was keeping Trevor as an emotional safety net while using me as practical support. I cannot do this anymore, I told her. I cannot build a family with someone who is actively trying to stay connected to another man using our child. You are overreacting to some messages. Every couple goes through rough patches. Brittany, you created false doubt about our baby's paternity to manipulate your ex-boyfriend. That is not a rough patch. That is a fundamental betrayal of our relationship and our family. She left with her clothes, but without any real acknowledgement of how her behavior had damaged our relationship. Her final words were, "I hope you will change your mind when you calm down." I have been staying at Jake's place since then, working with a family lawyer to understand my rights and obligations. The lawyer confirmed that I can request a paternity test after the birth, though he assured me that based on our relationship timeline, there is no actual doubt about parentage. The hardest part of this situation is accepting that the woman I thought I knew well enough to start a family with has been living a completely different emotional reality than the one I understood. For months, while I was excited about our future together, she was fantasizing about rekindling things with someone from her past. I am committed to being the best father I can be to our son, but I cannot stay in a relationship built on deception and manipulation. Some boundaries, once crossed, cannot be uncrossed. Edit. Many people have asked if I plan to tell Trevor's wife about the harassment. I am considering it because she deserves to know what has been happening. But I want to consult with my lawyer first about the best approach. Final update: Connor. Marcus Thompson was born on the 15th of March at 7:42 p.m., weighing 8 pounds and 2 ounces. Holding my son for the first time, seeing his perfect little face, I felt a clarity about priorities that cut through all the drama and confusion of the previous months. The birth itself was complicated by Brittany's continued attempts to control the narrative around our son's identity. Despite our legal agreements about naming rights, she told the hospital staff that she wanted the baby's name listed as Trevor Connor Walsh on his birth certificate, using both Trevor's name and her last name. I had prepared for this possibility with my lawyer, and the hospital honored the legal documentation, establishing my parental rights and my equal input in naming decisions. Connor's official birth certificate reads Connor Marcus Thompson, a name chosen with intention and love, free from the ghosts of past relationships. The paternity test I requested was processed immediately after Connor's birth. As expected, it confirmed with 99% certainty that Connor is my son. Brittany seemed genuinely surprised by this result, which told me she had somehow convinced herself that the timeline uncertainty she had created in her messages to Trevor reflected actual doubt about parentage. During the weeks following Connor's birth, several developments clarified the full scope of what I had been dealing with throughout my relationship with Brittany. Trevor's wife, Jessica, reached out to me 3 weeks after Connor was born. She explained that Trevor had finally shared the extent of Brittany's harassment with her, and they were pursuing legal action to stop the contact. I wanted you to know that Brittany has been trying to reach Trevor through his family members, claiming that Trevor's son was born and that he needs to take responsibility for his family. Jessica told me during our phone conversation. She has created elaborate stories about secret conversations and promises that never happened. Jessica revealed that Brittany's harassment had been going on for years before I even met her. Fake social media accounts, workplace visits, manipulating mutual friends for information about Trevor. The pregnancy just gave her new material for her delusions. Trevor and Jessica got their restraining order, but Brittany violated it within days by messaging Jessica, "Now that Trevor's son is here, I hope you will understand why I cannot give up on us." That violation landed her in jail overnight and got her court-ordered psychological evaluation. The psych evaluation became crucial for our custody battle. The psychologist described Brittany's thinking as delusional regarding past relationships and concerning for child welfare. During the hearing, the judge reviewed everything: the social media stalking, false paternity claims, restraining order violation, and her attempts to name our child after a man who had repeatedly told her to stop contacting him. I was awarded primary custody. Brittany got supervised visitation only after completing therapy and 6 months of stable behavior. The judge was particularly disturbed that Brittany seemed to view Connor as a tool for rekindling relationships rather than as a child deserving stability. Brittany's response: she threatened to move across the country to be closer to Trevor and Connor's real family. She said this in front of court officials, further proving her detachment from reality. The most shocking twist came 2 months later when Brittany met someone new. She called asking to terminate her parental rights entirely, so she could start fresh without co-parenting complications. "Connor deserves better than what I can give him," she admitted. "Maybe this is better for everyone." Her rights were terminated when Connor was 4 months old. He is legally and practically mine alone now. He has no memory of the chaos surrounding his birth, and will grow up knowing his father chose his name with love and intention. This experience changed my approach to relationships completely. I am focusing on being the father Connor deserves while processing lessons from the Brittany situation. When I do date again, I will look for emotional maturity, healthy boundaries, and genuine commitment to building the future rather than reliving the past. I learned that some people see children as accessories to romantic fantasies, instead of individuals deserving love and stability. Delusional thinking doesn't improve with major life events. It often intensifies. Most importantly, walking away from unhealthy situations, even when complicated by pregnancy and children, can be the most loving choice for everyone. Connor will understand that his father prioritized his well-being over social expectations. He will know that love means protecting people from manipulation and chaos. His name represents the intentional, authentic life we built together, free from other people's emotional baggage. Looking back, I realize how close I came to accepting a lifetime of competing with ghosts, managing someone else's delusions, and raising a child where truth was negotiable and boundaries didn't exist. Discovering Brittany's deception was painful, but it gave me the clarity to build something better for my son. Edit: Connor and I are doing well. The house is quiet in the best possible way, filled with the normal sounds of a happy baby, rather than the chaos of adult emotional drama. Sometimes the most difficult decisions create space for the most important growth.